The statements, questions, and viewpoints expressed in this commentary are those of the individual speaker and not of our beloved sorority. Tonight we have another line sister joining us, our soror St. Pierre. Please introduce yourself.
Sure. Hello, everyone. My name is Sority St. Pierre. I am a wife, a mother, an entrepreneur. I currently am a real estate agent as well as the director of marketing and sales for my husband's catering business. I am a consultant for a Fortune 500 company, and I love to be with my family, hang out with my sorors, and I also do motivational speaking as well when asked. So I'm just happy to be here with all my sorors, and I'm looking forward to an awesome evening.
All right. So I do want to share tonight, ladies, we have a hot, steamy topic, relationships. So how are you ladies feeling about that topic?
I feel good. I feel good about it.
Okay.
I'm interested in these questions, though.
All right. So we do have some questions that came in a little earlier that I was able to categorize. Other questions will be coming in straight from the DM, and I will read them off. Answer any question that strikes you or provokes you to answer. Okay. So let's get started. We're going to cover a little bit of business, a little bit of romance, and a little bit of friendship. Again, some of the questions have been categorized and some of them are not. Okay.
Sounds good.
So let's start with romance. So I do want to say that we have all experienced a romantic relationship. We've had our ups and downs, and we kissed, I know I have, and let me speak for me, a number of frogs before I found my prince. Okay. So I'm happy to say that we do have 21 years together and coming up on 20 years of marriage. So while I'm not an expert in that area, I do feel that I have some knowledge to share. Okay. So let's start with romantic relationships. And the first question is, these are coming from the DM. Let me start with this. It says, this question is for the church lady. It says, is oral sex considered sex outside the marriage?
If you, well, what's church lady? What's the church lady? Define that. What's church lady? Oh, 4 of us are church ladies.
Well, since all 4 of us are church ladies, all 4 of us need to answer. How about that? So it says, this question is for the church ladies. This is straight out of the DM. It says, is oral sex considered sex outside of the marriage? And I want to say yes. Any type of, in my opinion, any type of sex, if it's not with your spouse and you're married, is sex outside of the marriage. I would say yes.
I say yes.
I agree.
And if you take it even further, if you start having emotional conversations with a person, that could also be viewed as cheating, even though some people don't think it is, but you are getting that emotional satisfaction from someone else that maybe you're not getting from your spouse, or maybe I just don't have time to talk because y'all both have busy schedules. But yeah, that's cheating.
I feel like
go ahead.
I was going to say, I do agree with Soror Paulson as well as Soror Page. Emotional affairs are more, obviously, more, how can I say, serious than physical, because that emotional aspects turn into physical.
Baby.
So the answer to the question, do oral sex outside of the marriage is considered cheating? Absolutely it is. It is, as well as emotional cheating. I think a lot of people lose that emotional because they feel that, okay, emotional cheating is not cheating. Oh yes, it is. It's the gateway to the physical. Actually, in my opinion, emotional cheating is way more serious because it's an even deeper connection.
Okay.
between two people.
Okay. Sora Clifton.
I'm a
Okay, so we, sometimes.
So I think a lot of it has to do. Yes, I think that it can be 99% of the time. It can be.
Okay.
Sometimes it depends on what your relationship is like, though.
True.
If you have a relationship that you are what is considered open, then no, it's not cheating, because both of you have established that there are rules and regulations within your relationship on that. And if that is one that has been established, that you know, you're not stepping out, you're going to find satisfaction over here, or you're having an experience over here, and then you're coming back home, there, then no, it's not cheating. But you've got to have those restrictions and those stipulations in place, and you have got to communicate when it comes to that. No, it's not like, okay, he said this or she said that, I'm going over here, and you're not saying anything about it. You've got to have that, you have to have that conversation with your significant other on how your sexual relationship is going to be, whether it's going to be contained inside of just two people, or if it's going to go out of bounds what other people think. So it really just depends on what your relationship is. Now, if you have that and you do not have that communication, if you're not open and honest with the person that you are in a serious relationship with, whether it be your spouse, whether it be your significant other, whether it be your boyfriend or girlfriend at that point in time, then yes, that is considered cheating, because you're not open and honest on what's going on. Cheating means that you're stepping out and you're not involving the person who is in that relationship with you. So you can't do that.
Facts.
Okay, well, you know what, Sora, I want to share this. Let me, give you some kudos, because I'm not even that open-minded. So yeah, I don't think I'm ready to be sharing and having no open. I think I'm a little bit selfish there. I'm not ready to share or have any boundaries that say, in my marriage, that you can go out and do that. So let me toot a horn for you for that. Yeah, because you gotta, your mind is open, honey. When your husband married you, he sure is getting a prize.
Wow.
So,
and this is coming from the church ladies.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, what she said, honestly, what Sora Clifton said, it makes perfect sense. I mean, you went beyond the scope of what the question asked, because the question was being, I guess, specific, kind of be specific driven. Like, if you're in a relationship, you haven't had that understanding, y'all haven't had that conversation. So, I mean, what Sora Clifton is saying, I totally agree. I mean, look, we open, baby. I mean, you want to go get some head from over there? You go get that head, girl. It might be better.
You have to have it right, but you have to have that conversation up front, because if you don't have that conversation, then you are cheating.
Yeah,
but if you have that conversation, then
there ain't no cheating. Nah, it's fair game. Free meat.
All right. This is also a question for the church lady. It says, is masturbating a sin?
No.
Nah.
Oh my goodness. But no. You know what? Okay, so wait a minute. I guess if you want to look at it from if you being celibate, because in that, you being celibate, you're restraining or refraining from sex, porn, anything sexual. I'm assuming touching yourself as well. I mean, when I looked up the definition, I don't necessarily see that. I just see it, refraining from, being sexually active and, stuff. But I mean, I feel like, dude, you gotta touch yourself. You don't touch yourself. You wonder why some of them people be coming in your work office mad. Everybody, you go excuse yourself real quick. Get that stress off your back.
So,
because I'm practicing celibacy. I'm just saying. So, and I've been doing it well. July 11, 2020. And I mean, honestly, it's all about protecting your energy. You know, people don't realize when you go touching other people and doing things, you swapping whatever unhealed, untoxic spirits and demons they got going on. And sometimes some people need to practice to get that sex demon about their back. You know, that's a whole nother conversation. We wait for that.
Oh, wow. Okay. And Sora Clifton, what do you have to say? Because you seem to be in agreement with Sora Page.
Well, I mean, as the only one who is, you know, single, no. I mean, and let's face it, back in the day, it was prescribed to women if they were having anxiety and everything, and you know, you would be able to go to the doctor's office and receive a release. If we want to say it that way.
I did not know that.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Orgasms were prescribed. Oh, your wife is having a little, you know, she's not herself. Bring her in, and we'll go ahead and take care of that. And, you know, one of the first vibrators were medical. You know.
Wow, I didn't even know that.
I did not.
I'm learning something new today. Yeah. So, you know, when we talk about masturbation, there's a little bit more that goes into it besides, you know, our spiritual aspects of our bodies and everything with that, you know, just scientific and physiology and things like that. So I'm gonna say no. And
all right. Well, Sora St. Pierre, what do you have to say?
I want to know what the Bible say about masturbation.
You should do it. No, I'm stop.
Swear I want to know.
I don't know if it's actually mentioned in the Bible. I don't
consider, you know,
not heard that it's been mentioned in the Bible. No.
And
okay.
I mean, we talk about fornication, but fornication normally is with another person. Right. You know, we're talking about with another person. But I don't necessarily think. I mean, do I need to go back and ask?
I have not actually seen the word in the Bible. I have not actually seen the word in the Bible, but I think it talks about self-gratification. And if you tie self-gratification into that, then that's what is considered. If you look at it, you know, through that way, then and tie it into that, then it's mentioned that, you know, you can apply it, but it doesn't say the word in there.
Well, you be great to catch that nut.
So
I guess it's similar. You know, I guess it's similar to introducing like toys into the bedroom while you're with your significant other as well. You know, so you know, is that a sin? You know, to introduce those gadgets in the bedroom.
You know what?
Is he keeping your husband in your bed?
That's our next question. That Sora St. Pierre, that is like on the heels of our next question. But let me say this. What about those spouses who are married to one another and they are apart for long distances, such as military wives, or, you know, if they have a spouse that is a 18-wheel truck driver and they go from state to state and not always able to return home within 24-hour period. Like, what do you do? You know, how do you consider that when you think about masturbation?
So I'm going to pass on that, considering my mom and dad had a commuter marriage for over 20 years, and I don't want to think about it.
I don't want to think about it.
So my mom was here in Columbus. My father, he traveled all over the place and everything like that. So, you know, he came home, but he was not home regularly. And so now I'm going to pass on that. La, 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 la.
Okay, so
go ahead.
I said there's nothing. I mean,
okay, so Sora St. Pierre, what do you have to say? How do you think about it for those spouses in marriage relationships when the spouse isn't able to return home within a 24-hour period?
I'm quite certain that you have to be creative, you know, to keep that intimacy going. You know, maybe, you know, talk a certain way on the phone to arouse one another. You have to find creative things to do, you know, to keep that connection, you know, going. So yes, it could be challenging. Most likely it is to keep that intimacy going. But I'm quite certain that in a relationship when it's so far apart, you do that creativity you have in your relationship.
will help. But when you get back together, it's probably even more explosive, more exciting, more, you know what I mean? So definitely creativity is needed.
Okay, so that is also on the heels of our next question. So here it says, okay, being creative, sexual acts and sexual items, is that considered worldly for the Christian marriage bed? So how do you
anything is going to be worldly in a Christian marriage bed, considering if you try to go by what the Bible says, then all you're supposed to do is have sex for procreation. And so nobody thinks about the pleasures of our bodies when it comes to that. And my thing is, if God didn't want us to be pleasurable, he wouldn't have made orgasms. But so if your goal is just to procreate, then anything that you say or do in the bedroom is going to be sinful or go against the Bible.
I agree with Sora Clifton.
Sora St. Pierre, what do you have to say?
Again, creativity is what is really key. I understand, what the Bible may say and what, the act is for. However, it also says as wives, we shouldn't have our heads in the Bible either. Constantly, we got to look around us. So let's be honest, as a married woman, I have to make sure I keep it well interested, in my room, because what I won't do in the bedroom, somebody else can potentially do. So I need to keep my man's eyes on me, and whatever that takes, that's what I'm going to do.
All right. So I do want to say this. I do want to say this. I do want to say this. While the Bible does have some contradictions in it of itself, it does have the Book of Solomon in there. And the book of the Songs of Solomon doesn't say, it says all kinds of things about what you should be doing in your marriage bed, and, comparing the woman's body, to different fruits and things such as that. So when you have time, read that book. Also, it says that there's no limits in your marriage bed, that you cannot defile your marriage bed. Now, when I think about that, I don't think about sexual acts, and I do think about sexual acts, and I do think about introducing, toys, but not other people, not no other people. No other people, so I just, want to, so, you got to make sure I'm, while I agree with Sora St. Pierre and, a little bit different on the take of what the Bible say, and I think you should follow the leading of the Holy Spirit. If he tells you drop it like it's hot, then you should follow that lead. If he helps you, to keep your clothes on and act like, Martha and Mary, then that's what you need to do. It's the time and the place for everything. So yeah, that's my point. Then it says, the Bible also talks about the spirit of Jezebel. Define your definition of the spirit of Jezebel.
I guess the equivalent to the thought boxes that be out here running the streets. I don't know, because don't a Jezebel supposed to be like, they can be flirtatious, enticing, bring you in. I don't know, because maybe I'm a Jezebel to an extent. Because I flirt, but I ain't trying to get you in my bed either. I'd be like, oh, wait a minute, I don't need your meat. I was just flirting and being nice. I just want to see if I still had it. So I guess I guess it's all about, what a person, how they define it. If you go by, I guess, the biblical sense or the definition, I don't know. What do you ladies think?
And I'm sorry, I'm looking down because I'm kind of looking up Jezebel, because I know that we have the sense of Jezebel and everything like that, but I'm not necessarily certain if we're thinking Jezebel the right thing, right way. So it's, I'm looking at Wikipedia right now. It says the Jezebel stereotype is an oppressive image and was used to used as justification for sexual assault and sexual servitude during the eras of colonization and slavery in the United States.
Well, what they say a modern usage name of Jezebel is sometimes used as a synonym for sexually promiscuous and controlling women. So
which one are we talking about?
I don't know. So the question is not very specific, but it just says to find our definition of Jezebel. So I would have to say over modern times, with you, Soror page.
The Urban Dictionary. Oh, well, hold
okay.
on.
All right.
So the Urban Dictionary, a female who is seeking attention from a possible plotting to use someone who is wealthy or otherwise desirable in order to gain status in society. She is often beautiful and knows it. She uses her looks to her advantage to lure in her next victim. She doesn't enjoy being out of the loop. She very much has to be the center of attention, but also doesn't have many real friends because of how shallow she is. She will any and will use anyone to get what she wants. She is interested in people. She's interested in purely as a status symbol and will toss them away and move on when they are no longer satisfying what she wants. So when you look at the Urban Dictionary, because Dion, what you said, what you said makes sense, and what I was thinking on like the flirting, and so the Urban Dictionary, when we look at, if we want to use it in this term, we can look at it as Portia Williams. We can look at it as, I'm sorry, disclaimer. But I'm just saying. I mean, no. I mean,
I was thinking that Real Housewives.
If you look at the celebrity like Alexis Sky, Alexis, like when you look at some of these IG models and what they do and how fast they foster a situation, because that's what a situation with someone of status that has money, that's going to make them the center of attention. They're going to captivate the audience. They're beautiful. They know they are. And then boom, next thing you know, 2 weeks later, baby, they with the next fish in the sea. And I guess it's not a bad thing. That's what they do. I mean, but if we want to just put it as the Urban Dictionary example, then these young ladies' pictures will be right there with it. No shade, no tea, no slight to none of them. That's how you make your money, whatever. Because you never know who is watching this platform. Right. They can take away whatever their personal preference. But, so I guess that question need to be a little bit more narrowed down, because that's very broad. It's a very broad question with a lot of different answers from different angles. So I'm going to say that.
Okay. So, Soror St. Pierre, do you have something to add to that?
So when I hear the spirit of Jezebel, I'm listening to Soror Page and Soror Clifton. I think of a home wrecker, right? From a marital perspective, I think of a woman who sees a married man, or even a man that's in a relationship, and they like, I want him, but they don't really want him. They just want maybe what they have, what he has, maybe with you, what he has financially or whatever have you, but they have no intention of staying. So they come in with their who they are, regardless of where it comes from. Maybe it's daddy issues, who know what it comes from, but they come in with an agenda. To destroy someone's relationship or destroy someone's home. But unfortunately, what happens is that once it happens, if it's allowed to happen, then that man is left with what? You know what I mean?
Right.
And then they're crawling back, to where they came. They realize that the grass isn't greener on the other side. So now they're coming back and to you, to the wife or to the girlfriend or to the fiance. And they like, listen, the grass wasn't greener on the other side. Could you let me back in? That's what I think of the potential of a Jezebel. Very deceitful, very sneaky, conniving, present very well from the outside. It's the outside that intensifies, the relationship with someone that's with someone else. It's how they look. And it's very deceptive because the person is not really looking at what's on the inside. They could be jacked up on the inside, but it's all about the outward appearance. Right. And so when I think of a Jezebel, I think of someone I feel sorry. I really feel sad for Jezebels because it's something that is obviously that they need within themselves. They choose to how can I say, hurt someone else. It's very hurtful, and so that is my take on Jezebels.
Okay.
You have to be mindful of them, and it's hard to really tell who they are because, of course, as the definition of what the word page says, they're very creative. They're very, it's hard to tell.
Right.
And so the damage is done.
Right.
And Sorry St. Pierre, while you were saying that, and while Sorry Page were, reading off the definition, I just, I can't help but to think of all of the stereotypes that are that the media and a lot of people are trying to put on our Duchess of Sussex right now. And they're trying to put this on her when all of her actions
are not
are
just
opposite of what they are trying to say and everything. And so we get to the point where we have a stereotype, and I mean, and that's exactly what it is, a stereotype, and nobody's ever looking past that. And so one person said that they don't like her and she's doing this, that, and the other, and like, okay, but that's not what her actions show. And when we get into this definition of a Jezebel, I mean, we really are seeing, even in three different ways, three different points, an actual definition of what that spirit of a Jezebel is. Now we're putting our own take on what we feel the definition is, and I think Soror St. Pierre, you put it very eloquently on a modern day spirit of Jezebel on that. But we take one or two pieces of that and then try to clump it on somebody, and it's not the whole. So what you see, that one or two piece that you might see out in public, does not necessarily show their entire relationship with somebody. There's a lot of people who, especially women, who feel that they can't even talk to a man without getting dressed up, showing that they have the designer clothes, the finer things, and that there's a whole set of women that, as they were growing up, this is what they were formed to do. You didn't go to college to get education. You went to college to get a husband. You know
what? And it's funny you say that. Ray Harvey, her mother groomed her to be who she is and why she is in the position that she's been in with very rich men, wealthy suitors, shall I say. And she has been deemed the Thanos of the dating world because she get them and then she's on to the next. And it's like, okay, girl. And now she is with Michael B. Jordan, and he put it out there. He loved her. He liked her. They, fond of her and different things. And I think she's found a good suitor. I think now she better, because she hurt his heart. I'm like, girl, you wildin'. He's looked too good.
Even if her mother groomed her that way, let's be honest, she grew up wealthy. Who she's supposed to go after, and don't get me wrong, I know there's a lot of people who say it don't matter about the money, but if those are the circles that you run around,
Marjorie wasn't, Steve, this is what, his third, fourth marriage. This is Marjorie's, you know what I'm saying? And Marjorie was with what, a drug, not no shade, no tea, no slight, but she was around money, but not like money like that. Now, since she was with Steve Harvey, she was with, a drug dealer. She was with a kingpin. He in jail, he in prison now, about to get out, ready to write a book and everything about how she's a gold digger in a sense. So her circle was not of Steve Harvey type money, you know what I'm saying? And when she got with Steve Harvey, then that's when Marjorie was grooming her daughter for what she wanted her to be, because Steve Harvey got daughters from his previous marriages and relationships. She didn't groom them girls like that. And Not saying that they don't have their own mothers and they didn't groom them how they need to be groomed, but my thing is this: let's make it all inclusive, baby. We all together. We all a family. Let's groom them to have wealthy suitors as well. You know what I'm saying? It was events and different things that the other kids didn't go to that, or it was privileged to. I mean, I don't know. I just follow a lot of stuff, weird, odd stuff like you, Dion. You be knowing them one-offs, and I'd be like, yeah, we're gonna put you on Jeopardy. But I'm just saying. But anyway,
So,
yeah.
So I have a question, because I know may not be a question that someone has asked, but I've heard guys say that women's mothers are the biggest pimps.
Oh,
and
true.
Now, do you guys,
thank God I don't have no girls.
Do you believe that? Like, like sometimes a mother could not deliberately or not on purpose be grooming their daughters to be Jezebels?
They know. They know.
Yeah.
They know. They know. Because they are that person. They was that person. They were that person. If we could open up their playbook and look back in the 70s and 60s, then, the bell bottoms, the crop tops, the afros, honey, they were out there doing it. They were getting it. That's why they are the way they are. And that's why they know what to teach their daughters, to be like, look, this is what you do. You dress up, do this, make sure that go these places. These are the friends you want to hang around. This is how you want to dress. Don't mess with that boy. He ain't gonna be nothing. You want to have that it factor. Go for this. Go for that. What's that? The captain of the football team. Go for that president. You know what I'm saying? They groom them. They know what they're doing. I don't care. You can't tell me they don't. No.
Yeah, and I agree with that to a certain extent. There are some that don't groom, but let's look historically. Historically, a woman didn't have a job. A woman did not hold any positions of authority anywhere. Woman cannot vote. So what are you going to do? You're going to try to find the best prospect for your daughter to make sure that they are taken care of for the rest of their life, and not only them, but their children. And the best way to do that is to tell them what it is that a man is looking for and how to be able to get that. A lot of marriages are done, we're based on a business proposition,
yes,
not necessarily love. So if they want to say that a woman, that the mother groomed them, then yes, but that's how women survived at that point in time. We no longer have to have that, but some traditions continue on.
And that's why people, Sora Clifton, that's why people have issues with what's that gentleman, Kevin Samuels. People have issues with him, but they're like, oh, you just beat the black woman down. And I'm like, you know what? Y'all need to open y'all's minds, open your ears to what he's saying, because what he's saying, his delivery is not the best. It's the most abrasive, most rash, fuck your feelings, excuse my language, delivery he has. No, I'm serious. It really is. But what he's saying is the truth, though. These women going to I want a high value man. And he like, how many kids you got? Oh, you got 2 kids? Well, you old goods. Ain't nobody want that. And it sound mean. It sound mean.
Yeah, I think I saw one of the segments with him when he was talking about the lady. She was a 6-figure, she made 6 figures and she wanted a 6-figure, and
he told her
basically, don't nobody want you.
Nobody wants you.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
He raw. Okay, I'm sorry. Let's go. I guess.
So let me ask this question. This question came up. It says, so Sora St. Pierre, did you have anything else you want to ask or share?
In reference to the Jezebel?
Yes.
I would say that, some mothers do want their daughters to marry someone that has something, right? They want them to marry someone who has a car, who has a house, who's established, and things of that nature. I think what happens is, what is the woman bringing to the table? In today's modern time, is no longer that way. It's a joint, it's a partnership. Right. So I think things get cloudy when it comes to relationships where it is, okay, that a woman is meant to be a man's helpmate, right? And so that's what we're designed to be, in a way, is a man's helpmate. It don't come with everything. Okay. Some things a woman has to help a man with. So when we are told, when young ladies are told to go with this man that got this car, this house, this amount of money, that amount of money, yes, those are the things that you will want a man to have. But the question is what are you bringing to the table? Are you just coming to look pretty? Are you going to be a trophy wife? Are you going to offer some type of, are you going to offer some assistance? Are you going to help that man continue to make more money to be successful? Support his journey, support his vision? Or are you just there to look good?
But and I agree with that. But let's look at it.
Yeah.
Historically, and even now, if your mother is grooming you to have a high position man and she's grooming you correctly, she is also going to instill in you those things that you need to do to help your husband continue to stay at the status and grow,
and that's my point.
Where he's at. There's a lot of people go out there and say, oh, he got this, that, and the other, and if I get with him, I'm not going to have to do anything. Even if you don't have a job, guess what? You can stay at home with them kids and make sure that those kids are growing up and show and be a mirror image of your family, especially the husband, so everybody can say that you have well-mannered children. You might not hold a job in corporate America, but that job as a housewife and a mother is one of the very most important parts of having a man with a status.
And that's what Kevin Samuels.
All right, now.
And that's what Kevin Samuels was saying. Like, you women want high value men. You want these men that make those executive decisions. You want these men that has the six figures. First of all, you don't even know where these men are because you're not in their scope. That's number one. He said, and number two, for the women that do have these high value men, he said, what do you think they do? He said, I ain't gonna lie. He said, they're trophies. They're beautiful. Nice bodies, looks, youth, everything. He said, but you think she just sits at home? Right. He was like, you think that you have these kids that you're just going to sit there and not groom your children, not raise your children while this man, he said, those are lonely nights. Those are lonely nights that you're going to have. But go ahead and proceed. But okay, sorry.
All right. So I'm saying we getting to the meat of it, honey. Somebody going to learn something today.
But
the next question is, due to past infidelities in relationships, some behaviors are triggers for me. Do I ask them to stop their behaviors or learn to manage my emotions?
Well, number one, you need to manage your emotions regardless as a woman.
Okay.
Or even as a man, everybody need to learn how to manage their emotions. You even need to teach your children how to manage their emotions.
Okay.
So then certain things aren't triggers. It won't trigger them. And if it does trigger them, they'll know how to handle it in the proper behavior, shall I say. And then too, I've been cheated on before. You just got to heal. No, I'm just saying, you just got to heal. You got to heal. Give yourself time to heal. Because if you don't, you're going to be toxic.
Okay. So, Clifton, what do you have to say?
I think it's both. I think it's both. You do have to learn how to manage your emotions, but you also have to have those conversations to let your significant other, your spouse, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, know that these are triggers for you. That nobody can change their behavior if they don't know that they're causing you harm. And I think that's one of the issues that we have, is that a lot of people don't have those real conversations on there. So, I really can't get into I can't go any further than that. A lot of times I'm on the outside looking in, and it's just like, did you tell him?
Right.
Did you tell her?
Yeah.
No, because I don't want to hurt their feelings, but they're hurting every day, They're hurting your feelings. And if they don't know, and then all of a sudden they say something, you say something, and they're like, well, babe, I didn't realize I was doing that. I didn't understand that. Why didn't you come to me sooner? And so I think it's both.
No, it is.
All right. Sora St. Pierre, what do you have to say concerning that?
Oh, I would say this: if it's a infidelity issue and you've decided to take that person back, you are taking on everything they come with. You do have a decision to stay, and you do have a decision to leave. When it comes to people's behaviors, you can't control what they do. You can only control what you do. Communication obviously is important, but maybe it's something where you need to get therapy and understand why where are these triggers coming from?
Mhm.
Why do you feel this way? And if your spouse or your significant other choose not to change, then you have to learn how to deal with their behaviors, how to respond to their behaviors. Like, Soror Page says, how to keep your emotions in between the lines, when those behaviors happens. And if you cannot, do it on your own, I strongly suggest get help. So that's my take on it. I am an advocate of therapy. I believe in going to therapy and putting someone else into the midst when I'm incapable of doing things on my own. When it's like, I encourage my spouse to go to therapy if it's something that I feel that we're struggling with. Like Soror Clifton said, maybe that person don't know. But another thing is what if you tell them and they still don't change?
Oh, that's it.
What if you express your feelings and, these behaviors are embedded? These behaviors are something, this is a part of their personality. Maybe they're laid back, maybe they're super nice, and they are not aware of their behavior because it's just who they are, but those behaviors affect you. Again, you cannot control what other people do. You can only control what you do. And when you cannot handle those emotions based upon what your spouse or significant other is doing, then you need to seek some help to assist you with that.
All right, listen, I gotta listen. You done tooted the horn right there, sis. Drop the mic. Let me give you a yes, that's it. You said the darn thing. All right, so next question. It's nothing to add to that. I don't think so. Did y'all have anything to add to that? Okay. So the next question is, when you are told that someone is in need of something, whether it be supplies, attention, or affection, how do you respond?
What kind of relationship are we talking about? Just
I'm
anybody?
assuming it says, so supplies, attention, and affection. So I guess this could be, business, a friendship, or a, significant other relationship. So for those of you who are running a business, let's look at it from a business standpoint. So if a client tells you, right, that they are in need of certain supplies and that you're not giving their account enough attention, how would you respond to them?
I mean, me personally, I would sit down with them and let's go over what exactly needs to be addressed. Because when you're running a business, you wear many hats. And I know Miss Pierre or Soror St. Pierre down there knows because she wears many hats. But you just have to sit down with them and really have a heart to heart and see exactly what they need. You know what I'm saying? Because what they want could possibly be overshadowed by other things. And it's not that you're overlooking them. It's just you wear so many hats. So I think if you sit down and address it with genuine intent on getting to whatever supplies they need, I think it will be okay. But sometimes the way some people are built, they're like, what? Go do what you got to do. Period. Send me a memo.
Yeah, exactly.
Email me. Okay. This world it's hustle.
Yeah.
Get it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I mean, I could be wrong.
Soror St. Pierre, what do you have to say?
So I would say this: customer service is something that I'm very conscious of. Okay. In my business, that is my thing. I mostly, operate in that sense. However, I have in my career maybe one or two clients that were not as satisfied, right? They decided, okay, well, I'm not happy with this aspect. And, I respect that.
Right.
We have our discussion, and I say, okay, well, first you have to come with an apology when you're in business, okay? Because what that person is feeling is real to them, and
Right.
you have to apologize for whatever your shortcomings are. And so I listen, and I'll say, I apologize for that. What are your needs now? And then I look at my schedule and I look at what I can do. I like to enlist other people who I know are just as professional as myself if I don't have the time to do that. And I'll ask them, okay, I have an excellent person that can help you with this matter. Is it okay for me to introduce you to them? If it's something I feel that I am incapable of doing, I would definitely to give them to someone else that I know would take excellent care of them. And I think that works. But then you have individuals who have high expectations of you. Expectations that you're not aware of, and you think that you're doing all the right things. just to find out that you were not. In those cases, sometimes you just have to let it go. You have to say, you know what? I'm sorry I didn't meet your needs. I'm sorry that I only got you to this point. Everybody's, people are in certain people's lives for a season and for a reason. So if it doesn't work out, it just doesn't work out. And it's okay to release a client and say, you know what? I'm sorry. I was not able to meet your needs, and it's okay to move on. No hard feelings.
But you
All
know
right,
what?
Sora Clifton, do you have anything to add to that? Oh, go, Sora Page.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm sorry. Just real quick, when you said expectations, you hit it on the head, because that's something else that ties into managing your emotions, working on self, because sometimes us as women and men can build up unrealistic expectations of people and businesses, and it's right there on the wall what we expect of our business, what we're going to give you. But sometimes us as people build up our own unrealistic expectations of what we think, and that even goes into relationships as well. But anyway, I just want to say that real quick. You said expectations. That's a big factor, because that's why a lot of relationships fail, because especially when you meet somebody, you're like, oh, and you sit back like, oh, we're gonna have kids, we're gonna get married.
We're gonna get to we're gonna talk about this question in relationship point of view next. Sora Clifton, business.
Okay, I really don't have too much to add. Outside of my little dabble in Mary Kay and trying to sell life insurance and stuff like that. I've not had a business, but I've worked retail basically my entire working life. And I will say there are times that anything that you do is not going to be at the satisfaction of the person that you are trying to please. I remember the last week that I actually worked at a certain store, I got called into the office because I had a complaint go all the way to the VP's desk.
Wow.
Because I would not return an item per our policy. Gave them all other items, and anything else that we can do is try to rectify the situation. I can do this, and this, but per our policy, we cannot do this. Cannot do that. And I did it with a smile on my face.
Right.
And the main complaint in there is that I smiled at this person the entire time that I told him that I could not honor his request.
Wow.
But gave him other things. So, and they wanted to know what you gonna do about this person. My boss was like, unfortunately, she's leaving, and she's one of the best people that we have in customer service. But she leaves in 3 days, so there's nothing I am going to do, and I should not have to do anything about it.
Right.
So when it comes back to those unrealistic expectations for people, no, the customer is not always right.
Yeah, sure.
So I want to say this. I want to say
that.
Okay. So I want to say this. When do you decide that this is the person that you're going to bend the rules for? What circumstances do you say, okay, this is a gray area and I'm going to go against policy and I'm going to do this? Like, what happens for those situations?
When there's situations that you just can't diffuse it. Because I deal with that just with my main job that I do. And there are customers that they're just disgruntled. They're not going to hear what you're telling them. They don't want to hear about your policies. They don't want to hear about your procedures. They don't want to hear about nothing. All they know is they want that refund on that return. They sent it back. This is what I did. This is what I'm going to do. And I gave you. And when it gets to that point, because they've groomed us to de-escalate situations so we don't have to turn it over to the next high authority, right? And when it gets to that point, I'm like, all right, look, this is what we're going to do. I return it. But see, what they don't know, on the back end, I'm making it an exception. So depending on how many exceptions you have, we're not going to make no more. But I'll go ahead and give you this one. If you got good customer history, shop a lot, not a problem. I'll make it an exception, but I'm gonna put it down that it is an exception. You don't know that. You think you're getting over, but on the back end, you're gonna have to deal with that later if this is something that you continuously do. And then from that point, you're gonna have to start disputing anything that you want to return or missing packages. So I'm just saying from that point, when you just
can't so same question for a relationship, say marriage or friendship, because I've had this happen to me concerning a friendship. It says, when you are told someone is in need of supplies, attention, or affection, how do you respond? And it's a, say if it's just, you know, your girlfriends or a romantic relationship or husband and wife, how would you ladies respond?
I'll start.
Go ahead, St. Pierre.
So I think I said this before, but first and foremost, you got to care about that person. Okay. Something you have to care about their feelings, and you got to care about what they're saying to you. The next thing you need to do is evaluate what you've done and how you played a part in how they're feeling and what they're lacking. Mm-hmm. And then you have to be honest about what you're capable of doing. You know,
yes,
maybe you're incapable of fulfilling that need at time, and maybe you can say, you know what, first you apologize. You say, I'm sorry that this is the way I'm sorry if I hurt you. I'm sorry if you feel that I'm not being supportive or I'm not giving you enough attention, but this is what I can do. Okay. If it's something like, for me, my husband likes to work out. Okay. And I'm like, okay, I got a busy schedule, but how about I do 20 squats and, you know, in front, you know, squats for you or whatever.
Right.
And I'll make a good meal for you. That's what I can do right now. Okay.
Yes.
That don't mean I'm not going to ever work out with you. Honey, I just can't do that right now. So how about I just do, 20 squats work for you right now? You know, you have to, you know, really take their, you know, the person's a friend, a spouse or whatever, take it into consideration and apologize first. And then, you know, tell them what you can do. I think that's the problem, is when we are unable to articulate what we can do. We look at it as if it's, how can I say, bad on our part that we can't do it, and we take it personal within ourselves. It's not about me. It's about the person that is coming to you. You can't make it about yourself.
Right.
So you have to apologize. You have to tell them, okay, I'm sorry, and this is what I can do. You know, I hope this is helpful. You know, I hope this is all, but I can tell you what I can do right now. It doesn't mean that I can't do it ever, but this is what I can do now.
Right. Breaks down into accountability. You take accountability for what you're not doing or what they feel that you're not doing.
Right.
And you have to do self-evaluation, like, damn, maybe I didn't suck your dick tonight. I'm sorry. But I'll do it tomorrow for you. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
right, exactly. Whatever. Yeah, right.
Anything.
And I agree with everything that you guys are saying. I also think back about a story I heard about a young lady they were at some kind of pool party, and one of her friends pushed her in the pool and she became paralyzed. Due to, you know, and it was, you know, everybody was having fun and games and everything like that. No one expected her to be hurt. And somebody asked her, you know, well, how is your friend doing, everything? She said that she forgave her friend and everything, because they were all playing around and didn't mean to do that. And she said the young lady was no longer in her life. And the reason why she said, I felt that she was not being supportive of me during all this time. And sometimes I think that as the person who's on the end that says they are not getting support, you also have to look at yourself and asking, are you being unrealistic with what you're asking for? So my thing is this: if you're asking, you know, and I was thinking, you know, if you're asking her to do all this stuff for you, number one, you did not forgive her. Not forgive her. And so this is her penance for, you know, for crippling you, you know, for making you disabled on this. And so if you expected her to be there 24/7 for you, everything that, you know, for anything that you needed at that point in time, then you didn't forgive her.
And not even that, that's also the show. You need to know your friend, because if you my best friend, you gonna know, number one, I can't swim. Don't push me in no water. You know what I'm saying? Don't push me in no pool.
Right.
Don't push me nowhere that, you know, 9 out of 10, I can lose my life. And then, you know, I don't play like that. So why you're not my friend.
Right. Well, I mean, they were all, it was the thing. They were all doing it, you know, it wasn't just a one-off thing. It was that. But, you know, so she didn't do exactly what you wanted. So you broke the friendship off at that point in time. And sometimes we just have to think, are we expecting too much from certain people? What is it that you really need? Is it something that you cannot get on your own? Is it something that another person actually has to help you with? And the reason why I say that is that, there's a lot of people who are alone in the world, that do everything that they have to do by themselves. So that love and the support that you so desperately want, is it something that you really, really need at that point in time? Now, that does not mean that you don't tell somebody, I need this. Are you able to offer it? And if they say, I can't do that right now, but maybe we can do this, or maybe we can go here, and they're giving you other options that they can do. Do you shut them off because they don't give you exactly what you want right then and there, and how you want it? And so those are other things that we have to think about. I have to think about it because I'm the one who's I'm by myself a whole lot, So I always say, what is it that I need, and do I get the nerve up to let you know that this is what I need and everything? And a lot of times I won't say other things that I need and everything. And I can't get mad at a person for not knowing the things that I need, number one. But number two, I can't get mad at them if I let them know and they are unable to do that. Now, if they're constantly taking and not giving, that's another thing that you do have to think about. Is this a relationship that you want to stay in, need to stay in? And if you want to stay in it, are you able to, are you satisfied? Can you be satisfied with the fact that they're always taking, not giving?
No, because they need to work on self. They need to work on self. A lot of people with their rooted issues is that they don't take time to work on self. They don't take time to work on self. Work on self. I'm telling you, if you work on self, pour into self, self-development, self-love, a lot of stuff that you're going through, it'll be like Thanos. It'll disappear because you're not worried about it. Like you said, them expectations people have, if you can't give yourself a Birkin, bitch, how you gonna ask somebody else to give you a Birkin? I mean, I'm just saying, from just using an analogy. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Seriously.
Yeah, I agree.
And it takes time. It took me years and years to understand what RB, if Paige, who I'm talking about and everything, y'all. But I was given everything and not receiving anything. And this was just a friendship. We was never in a relationship. This is a friendship. And I gave so much. And when I even stated that this is what I needed,
they were like,
okay, and go on about their business.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah. And I've had that happen twice. And it could be stated up front, and one of them, I was like, I just need to go out every once in a while. We don't have to be in a relationship every day, and you my boyfriend, I'm your girlfriend, and everything like that. All I'm saying is that in return for whatever kind of time we spend together, I want to go out to dinner every once in a while. I just want to catch a movie. I need to get out the house.
Right.
I need somebody to be able to get me out the house every once in a while. I'm dealing with a sick mother.
Right.
And I'm dealing with a job that I don't like or anything like that. Just give me a ray of sunshine. That is all I'm asking for. And after about a year and a half, I'm like, wait a second. We ain't gone out in public anywhere. We haven't done anything that I asked. Why is that? What can we do?
Right.
And the answer was, I don't do that because people tend to catch feelings.
Oh, right. Is that right?
Right. But you got everything that you wanted out of this. So you know what? That's okay. We cool.
Right.
2 years later, you're coming back around talking about, well, what if I did these things? You should have thought about that 2 years ago.
Say so, D. Say so, girl. Yes. Let me
know
this
down.
You should have thought about that.
Yes. About the sugar pot.
Yes.
I would like
know what you have until it's gone. That's right, D. Say so.
Go ahead.
So the next one that pops up says, how do you reply when your spouse says to you, they have been unhappy in the marriage for a number of years and they understand that you are not responsible for their happiness?
I'm staying out because I'm not married.
Well, I ain't even married, but I'm just saying, on a just a standpoint, we should have that conversation. I do think that before you get married, you're in that beginning "I love you" situation, and y'all establish, okay, we're growing together. Y'all have that understanding. I do think that you need to revisit that conversation maybe 3 to 5 years into your relationship to assure that y'all are both on the same page and y'all both, because people grow, people change, just like your drawers. You wake up, you're like, you know what? I don't like blue drawers. I'm gonna wear red drawers every day. I mean, it just happens. And I mean, I've never been married, so I can't say it from that serious standpoint. Like I know Soror St. Pierre is about to dab us with the whole, because they have that black love over there. No, I'm just saying, like, I think you need to have that understanding, and there do need to be a conversation that y'all revisit every 3 to 5 years to make sure that y'all are still on the same page, because people do change. And a lot of people, like I said, there's 3 stages, excuse my nails. There's 3 stages to a relationship. You got lust, you have reality, you have intimacy. And a lot of people stay in the lust stage. And then when they hit reality, after how long they've been in that lust, they hit the reality, they be like, damn, I don't even like this person. I'm fucking on my nerves. And then you get divorced, you get the infidelity, you get the, because they had all them false expectations in that lust stage, but the people that hit intimacy, like our Soror St. Pierre down there, down that box down there, that's beautiful. That's like, ooh, that's like, shit, baby, we here. You love me for my dirty drawers. No matter if I wear the same ones or not, baby, you here. I hear. But anyway, I'm just gonna say that. But
Soror St. Pierre, what do you have to say?
Yeah.
So I would say this, coming up on 16 years of marriage, on the 28th, I'm calling it Sweet 16. And knowing my husband for 21 years, you have to have check-in conversations.
Yes.
And I have to tell you and be very transparent. Every time my husband and I have a milestone, I don't know what it is. When we hit 5 years going into 6 was very challenging. When we hit 10 years, going into 11 years was challenging. And to say the least, COVID, the 15th year, not being able to renew our vows, not being able to do certain things we planned to do, and just simply looking at each other like, yeah, no parties to attend, no vacations to go on.
Right.
Businesses have slowed down. We looking at each other like, really, like we saw each other, and it's a different level, different level. We had to push the restart button about 2 times, and I would say we just hit it again the 3rd time, because we learned how we handle adversity on this level, where there is a pandemic and there's all hell breaking loose in the world, and you have social injustice, and it's just a whole lot that has transpired. And you have to have the ability to express yourself when you're feeling that way initially, and be honest about your emotions. One thing about me and you all know, you don't ever have to guess what I'm thinking, because I'm going to tell you what I'm thinking. And if things are off, I'm going to let you know immediately. I'm not going to wait till the next day. I ain't going to wait till the next month. You're going to know. But when you're with a spouse, that you may have a spouse that doesn't know, has not gathered how can I say, they don't have the ability to be verbal about their emotions. You have to sometimes be that person to pull out of them and say, well, how are we doing?
Yes.
And you have to have those difficult conversations. But in the question, it says, the person isn't happy, and they know that the person that they're with is not the problem, well, then that's a you problem.
That's a you problem.
That's a you problem. You have the problem. That's something you need to work out, and you need to get help with. It is not my spouse's responsibility to make me happy. It's my responsibility to make myself happy. I cannot expect my spouse to come with everything to keep me happy. There's some things I need to do for myself. And sometimes I've learned that in the beginning of our relationship, I was looking for him to do a whole lot of things that I should have been doing for myself.
Say
So
so.
what I had to do was I had to start dating me, even in the marriage, even in the relationship. I had to start taking myself out to eat. And I go into a restaurant. It felt really uncomfortable at first. I'm sitting there at the restaurant all by myself with my book, and they're like, "Ma'am, is someone else coming?" No, it's just me.
No.
You know, and I had to start to love on myself. You know,
Yes.
Bring it on.
you know how it was in the beginning of my relationship. You know, my ideal of a relationship was very distorted. You know, what I learned that a relationship was not necessarily how it was working in my relationship with my husband when we were dating. You know, and so I learned in the earlier years that I have to make me happy.
Yes.
You know, and you cannot rely on your significant other to do that for you. And this question, that is that person's issue. They need to go get therapy and find out why they're unhappy.
Right.
And yeah, so that's my take on it. You know,
that's that whole
my take.
self-development. That's that whole self-development.
It's a self-development. You know, and that's where I'm at. You know, you have to really love yourself. It comes with you first in order to be the best you to be for somebody else. You know, and it's hard to do that at times, but when you're in a relationship, you can't rely on that other person to be the complete happiness and bring you all the happiness. You have to get that yourself. You have to find it within yourself sometimes.
Yeah, that is so true. So I'm telling you, y'all are the bomb. This knowledge is really gonna bless somebody. They're gonna be ready. They're gonna get that self-development they need. Like I have nothing to add. Let me I mean, I had to. What else can you do after that?
They got to. They got to.
I mean, and before we go on, let's look here. So, you know, we're talking about Sora Poston and Sora St. Pierre, both been with your mates 21 years, one married for 20 years, one married for going on 16 years. These are long-lasting relationships at this point in time, you know. So that's that. And while Sora Page ain't never been married, you have been in long-term relationships. So you know, we've got to give ourselves kudos and props for the fact that you know what makes you happy in a relationship. You know what makes yourself happy inside and outside of the relationship. And so when you do that, you bring the better part of yourself with another person, you know. And you know, people say it's 50-50 in a relationship. No, you got to bring 100% of yourself, and they got to bring 100% of themselves into this relationship. And if you're not doing that, then you don't have 50% of anything.
Yeah, and that's what a lot of people, you know, they don't realize. You know, you really have to work. You have to do the work on self. Because that whole thing, Sora St. Pierre talking about, you know, going out to dinner. When I was in a relationship, it was a 5-6 year relationship. I learned I take myself out to eat. I go out to eat, I go to the movies, I go to concerts, and it's so funny because some of the people I do still associate with, they be like, how do you just go places by yourself? I'm like, bruh, because first of all, I love myself. I don't like drama because people sometimes bring drama, and I know what make me happy. I don't have to be in a crowd to get that gratification or get that, no. It's all about working on self, and a lot of people don't want to do that, especially when it come in relationships. Girl, y'all keep talking because there's a meme that I have posted where you know women and men, you know, you can't, you know, if you're having that masculine energy and being combative, you know what I'm saying? It's all about aligning with the person you're with, you know, and when you learn yourself, you can align with that person. They can align with you, and you don't have to be an obstacle, you know, that they have to conquer or you have to conquer them. And that goes into that whole thing of why they're not happy. Well, you need to work on yourself. Don't get in no relationship because you're toxic. If you're not happy, don't drag that other person down because you're toxic right now. You're unhealed. You need to go get some healing. Go get you some chakras, get you some sage, yourself, do some balancing in your life. But anyway, I'm sorry. I just had to put that in there. I'm just saying. You know, I don't know.
So you know what, that is amazing, and that is true. That is so true. And the check-in conversations, the counseling, it is also true. And self-love, knowing yourself first, and self-love is also true. So it says here, it says, how come, as a Black woman, I'm sorry, it says, as a Black woman, how come the majority of us are raised to be self-sufficient and independent, where other cultures raise their women to be wise and submissive?
That's not.
I don't think it's true.
That's not true. Because honestly, and it's funny because somebody I know had a conversation with some gentlemen that are racist type. You know what I'm saying? They made a comment on the phone to their wife, and excuse my language, but they called her a nigger bitch, and he didn't understand why they said that. And they sat down and had a conversation, and he said, in reference to their culture and other cultures, that they do raise their women to be strong and independent and self-resilient in different things, but they also allow them to be, I guess, more outspoken, but be feminine as well. But within our culture, they feel like the way we're raised and what we've been through, we are built to be strong and independent, but where we are verbally abused a little bit more, that is why I guess we tend not to be submissive, not to be I guess subservient to the man, because we've been how you say, talked down to by our own men, in a sense. So I just want to say that. But I don't believe that's true. Other cultures, because I've seen some other cultures that yeah, they meant hell. I don't know.
Sora Clifton, what do you have to say?
I don't think it's true. I think it's a stereotype. I think it's one of those things that the media puts out there to make Black women look bad as it is. Now, that doesn't mean that there is not a group of women that are like that, and they come from all socioeconomic backgrounds.
Okay.
So, and why I say that is that, we get to the point that, like, in the 70s, I think it was the 70s or so, and we can take it even further back, society has taken our Black men away from our households. And so with that being said, who is going to raise the family? Who is going to be the breadwinner? How are we going to survive? And we have been in a survival mode for a very long time, and a certain group of women and men on that. Now, let's flip it again, because I said I believe it's a stereotype that the majority of Black women are not subservient or not. I'm not going to say subservient, because that's something totally different. Submissive. They are not submissive. Again, when it comes to having a relationship with somebody of substance and love, women are very submissive. Just because you bring in more money than a man does not mean that you are not submissive to the fact that you are his wife, his woman, his helpmate, or anything like that. And there's a difference there. But you've got to bring something to the table for somebody to be submissive to. I can't be submissive to somebody who's not bringing anything. If I got to bring the food,
if you don't have your basics, just say you don't have your basics.
If I gotta bring the food, if I gotta bring the shelter, if I gotta pay all the utilities and everything like that, and you want me to be submissive to you, and you're not bringing me anything to be submissive to, there's a problem there. Then we have the fact that there are more Black women who are graduating college than any other, any other race, gender, or anything like that. In the past 20 years, we've been able to go to college. We've been able to do that. And again, 2 points. One, because the man has been taken out of the household, we have got to be able to raise our own. But number 2, we have an opportunity, and we're going to take it on top of that. So it's a stereotype. And I think when you start getting down to the numbers, and I don't have the numbers off the back of my head, because I remember this from several years ago, that the amount of Black women who are married, and not only married, but married to Black men, was different than what the media was actually putting out there. Our people don't get married. No, let's turn around and let's look at this. You know, it was like 64% of Black women and Black men get married, which was higher than the percentage of white men and white women at that point in time who were getting married.
Sora St. Pierre, what do you have to say?
Well, I would say this. I work with a lot of different, people from different backgrounds, Asians, Indians, and it appears that they have a stronger family connection and stronger family values.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but let's be honest, our first image of a male-female relationship is from our parents. Okay. And in many of our households, there aren't both the parent, both parents are not in the households. Okay. So where are you learning from? Now, me, I have had both of my parents was in a household family, in a household. My grandparents were in a household together. My great grandparents were married. My great grandparents were married. So I come from generations of individuals that, parents that are married. Mm-hmm. Even in, it's a stereotype. I would just say that because my cousins down south, they are all married and they're doing the darn thing. They are building together, loving one another. I have family members even in the north, may not be as many are married, but we are married in the north as well. And when I tell certain cultures that I'm married and how long I've been married, it is like I am a unicorn. I'm going to be honest with you.
That is true.
And to know that my parents both lived in a household with me, they're amazed. Mm-hmm. It is like unheard of. Yeah. I learned how to be a wife from my grandmothers. My grandmothers grew me to be a wife. I've seen my grandmother, who has a college degree, she went to a HBCU similar to us. I've seen her be submissive to my grandfather and still allow him to be the head of his household. When I tell people as an American who is married to someone from the islands that I allow him to be the head of my household, regardless of what his financial status is, I cannot tell you how many people be like, what, for real? Or seriously, I'm just serious. They say, you are different. I allow my husband, at one point in our marriage, I was the breadwinner for many years, and I allow him to be the head of the household. I still, took his feelings into consideration, his leadership into consideration. And I allow that because I don't have a problem with being led. Okay. Matter of fact, I need somebody to take some of this stuff off of me. I don't want to be, strong all the time. I mean, do you know how exhausting it is?
Yeah, I need to be exhausting.
Independent and hold up that I don't want to say facade, but just hold up that image of being independent. It is trying. Look, I'm gonna tell you this. I have no problems being submissive to my husband. And I did learn how to be a wife from my grandparents and my mother as well. Like when I was dating, she told me things that I listened to, like, not to be so available all the time, be spontaneous. Why buy the cow? You get the milk free. I know you heard that one. Okay. Like, come on now. My mother groomed me to be a wife as well. What kind of young lady comes in this late at night? Like stuff like that. Those were things that were said to make me be more visible and more open and to getting a mate, to being, in a permanent situation. So that question to me hits home because I cannot tell you how other cultures, Indian, Asian, even some people, even us, are shocked that my husband and I have been married for almost 16 years and we've known each other for almost 21 years. We have to change how we see each other. We have to change how we see ourselves. You understand what I'm saying to you?
Yeah.
Like, I feel that we need to change that and be honest. Yes, as Sora Clifton said, our men were taken out of our homes. They were taken out of home. What we had, Vietnam War, Then we have the crack cocaine epidemic. Now we have the George Floyd and, you know, the police brutality. We need to be honest about how these events have had a huge impact on our families, on how we see relationships and our guidance. We need to be honest about that.
And with you saying that, that's what led into what I said earlier. I know that word is really harsh, but everything that you're saying is why that gentleman, I guess, said what he said, even though it was inappropriate. But he sat down and he spoke with, you know, this person into reference of why. And he also stated everything that you're saying, Sor St. Pierre, like the racism, how we've been taught, just the culture, everything we've been through in life, and how, yeah, all cultures are built upon being strong, but when you add that extra factor onto it, that is what lead to maybe why we're not submissive, why we have to exert that masculine energy all the time and different things. So that's why I said what I said. So thank you.
Yeah.
Could we drop a bomb on that one? Drop a bomb. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So I want to share an experience that I had. So I come from a single parent family for a number of years, and later in life my mom did get married later on, and they stayed married until death did them part. My sister stayed married until death did them part. My grandparents were married, stayed married until death did them part, and I plan on doing the same. And I shared that with my husband from the beginning. However, my husband, served in the military for a number of years, and at first, I was like very submissive and following, a lot of the things that my family sat down and said to me. Because also, I am a teenage mom. I was a teenage mom, so that played a part. And they said to me, you don't cheat on him. They had like a come to Jesus meeting with me and sat me down at the table, and it was giving me all of these rules and regulations that I needed to follow and needed to do in order to stay married and keep my husband. And some of the points, I took and I listened to, and others I didn't so much until later on. So one of the things that my grandmother shared with me, she said, if you don't see it, don't you believe it. Let nobody separate you but God. So I was like, well, God's not going to separate us. She said, that's right, until death do you part. She said, if they say, he did this, he did that, or whatever, if there's no videotape of it, no recording of it, it didn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
She said, know who you married to before you marry them. The next piece of advice was to be submissive. Let down your guard. We know that you didn't grow up with, and I didn't have like a dream wedding and my gown and what I would wear and who would be there, and it would be in a church. That, that's not how I was groomed or brought up. I was brought up, okay, you're a teenage mom, so you got to go out there and get it. It's all about taking care of your child. It is all about, knowing how to make $1, out of 15 cents and get it done. And because this is the real world for you. You have a child that you need to raise while you are still working on you. The next piece of advice was make sure you foster the relationship between your child and your spouse. Make sure that they have a connection. Make sure that they know each other and how much you love them each, so that they don't have to compete for your attention or your love. So, and they said share some other things as well. So when my husband first was gone on deployment, I used to call him for every single thing. Should I do this? Can I do this? And I really, wanted him to lead. And he called me one day. He said, stop calling me for everything. He said, I love you. I trust you to make choices and decisions. You did them before me and you can do them now. So I really thought that's what submissive was, just I had to just check in for everything, So I was like, okay, cool. I got this. I ran a household before, I know how to take care of a child. So I got this. So He returned home from deployment, and I didn't know how to press stop or pause and allow him to leave, because I'm now back in that single mom mode, and I'm doing what it is that I need to do to run a household, to, you know, make sure that everything is taken care of. And he looked at me, he sat me down, and he said, "You are not the man in this relationship.
Mm.
You have to,
Turn over
and
the
you're not
reins.
the head of the household. So you have to, I am home now. You have to release these duties to me." And that was a struggle for me, because I would have to take them on while he was gone and then release them once he returned home. And that was a struggle for me. And I struggled with that for a number of years. So, you know, I had to go to counseling for it, because I was like, well, you know, you coming home, you changing things, and that's not how we do it. You know, this is how we do it. This is how we do. This is what we do, and this is how it's going to go down. Now you need to get in where you fit in. And he was like, "No, sweetie, you need to sit down and rest your feet, because I'm here to run the household, because that's who I am." And I said, okay. And I started, you know, praying, and I was like, "Lord, allow me to follow and be submissive as he followed you. As long as he's following you, Jesus, I can follow him. Now, when it appears to me that he's not following you, I got to follow Jesus, you know." So, because that's how I've been making it all these years, you know. So that was a struggle for me. And so it can be a struggle, especially when you're raised in a household, as to go get your education, you know. And a lot of women, I think, put their education and put their career first, and then they'll go back and want to get married and have children. And sometimes, you know, they are not equipped, or their body is not able to, you know, create when they are ready to create. And I'm gonna tell you, as I get older, my patience are different when it comes to children. You know, my tolerance level is different when it comes to, you know, different things and different people. So, you know, I'm super excited to make you know, had my children when I had them, had experienced, you know, my relationship with my husband when I, you know, when we first decided that this is what we were going to do, come together as a union. I can't imagine now being on the dating scene. I don't think I would have tolerance for it. My last child was a surprise child, and I looked at my husband, and he looked at me, and I said, "You know what, we were too old to do this." You know, like, you know, he do things to get away with things that the other two had no, you know, could not do and get away with. And I'm like, you know, he wears me out. He's a challenge, and I have to be able to keep up and know what's going on, and be able to, you know, understand and be hooked and everything. And I have to be honest, I don't have the same energy that I had with the other two. So a lot of times he leads us, you know, and I'm like, you know, tag you with. I'm tired today. Can you tag? You take them to swimming, you know, like, you know. So I can certainly appreciate, you know, that side of the women who have to be strong and, you know, a little bit more masculine and a little bit more to the point. And I think that's part of where the angry woman syndrome comes into play. I think that's part of where the matriarch comes into play, you know, where she's, you know, so strong that she doesn't need the man anymore. And none of that is true. Is, you know, as women of color, we want and need our men. Another thing for me is that I have friends, and as well as myself, when I was dating, I have dated outside of my race. And that was interesting, because I was so insecure about the relationship that I think I was submissive right off the bat, because it was always a thought in my mind is, do they really like Black women? Or is this, you know, is this just some kind of, yes, yes, like, you know, is this just some kind of fetish or point that, you know, this person is fulfilling on their bucket list? So that came into my mind as well. And I want to say to women of color, if you want to date outside your race, you don't have to wait on a brother. I say go for it and do it. It's all about how the person is treating you and the things that you're going to stand for and tolerate. So that's my take on that.
So before we leave this, I want to kind of bring up the concept of the yin and the yang. There is masculine and feminine in everybody. And, you know, and for example, like I said, I'm stepping back because I'm not in these roles or anything like that. However, I've come from a family of those who marry, and my sister, she's a widow. At this point in time, you know, they would have been married 10 years, 3 years ago. So they would have been married like 14 years at this point in time. But, you know, it's something when we talk about being submissive, there are points and times that the man has to be submissive too. They can't always be the one who is strong. That gets tiring, like we said. So it would be funny to see, because my sister, she married a thug, you know, God rest his soul, but he was a thug and everything like that. But then you turn around and he'd be like, well, my wife said that I can't do this, and my wife said that we have to do this, that, and the other, and everything. He go around and he take the kids, and he walking down with baby strollers and a baby bag and everything like that. And she was the breadwinner. She brought in more money and everything like that. But you know, when we looked at the times, and when they looked at the times and finances and everything like that, it was more profitable for him to stay at home a lot. So didn't mean that he never worked. He did work. He worked a lot. But when it was time with, you know, for babysitters and everything like that, it was one of those things that, you know what, I'll stay here and I'll watch the kids. I'll make sure that the house is clean. I will make sure that dinner's on the table, and then we do this, that, and the other. And when it was time for him to get up and go to work, he got up and he went to work. He found a job and he worked and everything like that. So there were those times, and like I said, it was comical at times to say, and he'd be like, my wife said, no, I can't do that.
And Tori, he was a big dude, not like a big dude, but he, you know, he had that.
He was strong and everything like that. So you would not expect this. Right, you would not expect this man who's sitting up there smoking cigarettes. He got tattoos over his arms and everything like that, and he going around saying, "Nah, my wife ain't going for that. Nah, she ain't going for that at all." But she come home, and yes, she was submissive. But there were times that he had the submissive role also, you know, and that is a balance that everybody has to know. Nobody should have to be the strong one 100% of the time. You've got to share the responsibility. You have got to share the strength. Not everybody is strong for everything. There, you have a weakness on there, and it's okay to lean on somebody else to compensate for that weakness.
And that's what the gentleman was also saying to the gentleman he was talking to. He was just like, you know, he said, yeah, it's times that our wives be like, nag, 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 but they be submissive and accept whatever she's saying and don't say, you know, don't give it back to her. And he was saying, like, in your culture, Black men, he said, sometimes y'all don't do that. He said, y'all will, you know, give it right back to her, which in turns make her want to give it right back to you, when you can de-escalate the whole matter if you just like, all right, babe, you got the juice. Like, you got it. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got it. And then it'll be like, oh, okay, I won? Shit, let me go make this cake. You was dead tonight because you listened to me finally. You know, even though she could be completely wrong. But I don't know.
Sorority Sister Talk relationship episode will be continued on 5/28. We hope you'll join us, and thanks for listening.